So let's talk about anxiety and caffeine, the relationship that they have, and how they can team up against you to make your day a living hell. If you have really rough anxiety, I'm going to share a little bit of my story, how it made me feel, how it affected me, what I had to do, and we're going to go through that whole process together. All right. If this is the first time watching me, you've never seen me before. I'm a guy that went through anxiety for 5 long years. I had panic attacks, I had health anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, but I was able to recover. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, you might want to go ahead and subscribe today. I have over 1,100 videos that can help you with this process. Check it out. Check out the channel. So anxiety and caffeine. Now, luckily, I didn't have some horrible caffeine addiction. It was more like it was just a pleasure. I would have sodas. Soda was probably the largest, or the biggest way is a better way of wording this, the biggest way that I would get my caffeine. I wasn't a big coffee drinker. If I was drinking coffee at that time, it was probably like, it was splashed with creamer and sugar, which made it even worse, right? Those things are going to be horrible for your anxiety, dairy and sugar and the caffeine. But luckily I wasn't a big coffee drinker. Now, I know a lot of you are. A lot of you, you loved your morning coffee. Now you're having anxiety, and usually the morning is really rough for us anyways. And then you mix in caffeine. So there's a lot of you that have probably already quit, but there's a lot of you struggling because you have a caffeine addiction. Plus you just don't want to have to give it up. I want to say this up front. You can get back to drinking caffeine. You just need your nervous system to stabilize again, right? Normalize, desensitize, if you will. And that can take some time. That can take months, amongst all the other things you have to be doing for your anxiety, like exercise, diet changes, root causes that you got to handle so this doesn't come back, getting a stress preventative lifestyle and a routine, rewiring, the general positive thinking, mindfulness, all those good things. But you can get back to having caffeine in the future. I was able to do that because after that, I started to drink my coffee pretty much daily for health benefits, a little bit of an energy boost before. I used it kind of like a pre-workout, and I would just drink it black. I didn't add any sugar or anything like that. So if I was able to drink, 2 huge cups of coffee every morning, you should be able to get back to drinking coffee or having an occasional soda, or if you're into bodybuilding or working out a lot and you like to do pre-workouts, maybe you can do that. But right now is not the time to be consuming that stuff. I don't want you to be afraid of it. I just want you to think of it as we're taking a break, okay? We're taking a break from that. It's a stimulant, okay? So it's going to stimulate your nervous system. Now, if you don't have bad anxiety, it's just going to give you a little bit of an energy burst. Sometimes you can overdo it with the coffee or the caffeine or, the pre-workout and stuff, and you can feel a little extra squirrely or jittery, right? But usually you can just use that energy to your benefit to get things done or to work out. When you have a very sensitive nervous system because of your anxiety, you have a lot of cortisol built up in your body, and you're just generally a very hyper-aware and hypersensitive person when it comes to what you're feeling, it's going to be overwhelming. And something that surprised me was just the smallest amounts of caffeine. The smallest amounts of caffeine could make me feel this way. And in the beginning, again, I wasn't a huge coffee drinker, but at first I would just forget. So like I'd go out to eat or something, and then I would have a soda, and I'm like 3/4 of the way done, and I start to feel, this is the way it would make me feel. Like I would start to feel very jittery, okay? Except it wasn't just a jitteriness that you would get if you just had too much coffee and you didn't have anxiety. My jitteriness, you could actually see it. And then it would manifest to this, and it would make me tremble, and it would make my teeth start to chatter. And then for the next few hours, because it takes, 3-4 hours for the caffeine to get out of your system, I'm battling panic attacks. And, all it takes is to have one symptom, and it can turn into 5 or 6 symptoms. And now I'm over here worried that I'm going to have a heart attack, a seizure, a stroke, or whatever because of the shaking. That's what I was nervous about, seizures or like strokes or something. I don't know. But that's how it would manifest for me. For those of you battling like a caffeine addiction, like you were somebody that woke up every day, you had your coffee, maybe you drink coffee throughout the day, you're probably going through a different type of battle where it's like it's making every day horrible, but you're just not willing to give it up yet. And I just encourage you guys to at least start experimenting with cutting down. If you can't cut down if you're just not able to do that. And this kind of applies to things like alcohol and stuff like that. But if you can't, well, alcohol is different. You don't want to just go cold turkey if you're drinking like a 12-pack a day or anything like that. But with caffeine, you usually can just go cold turkey with that. You may have some headaches related with caffeine withdrawal and some sleepiness and fatigue and lethargic kind of stuff going on with you, but it's not dangerous. I've never read that cutting out caffeine abruptly is dangerous. So do your own research if you want. I'm not trying to play doctor here, but I've never come across anything like that. But anyways, back to the point, you want to at least try to cut down. And if you can't cut down, consider just taking a break. Like I said, you don't have to view it as like, I'm parting ways forever. Just see it as like, look, I like my caffeine, I like my coffee. It's got some good benefits for me, but right now my nervous system is just way too stimulated for this, and I need to take a break. I need to take a break. For me, I got to show myself some love, right? Self-love is an important part of getting past anxiety, and we have to cut things out of our life right now to change, right? To give ourselves a chance. What we're doing with the caffeine thing is we're trying to give ourselves some momentum by not triggering ourselves a lot. So for me, again, like, it was more of an accidental thing. I would drink a soda and everything like that, and I would find out, 30 minutes later that was a horrible mistake, and it took me, I don't know, a handful of times to realize, like, okay, I'm not doing the soda thing anymore. I'm not having like a mixed coffee or anything like that. I didn't ever drink pre-workout or anything like that. So I guess the moral of the story is like the things that we're most reluctant to do during our journey are the things that are going to help us and ultimately set us free. So if you're reluctant to cutting out caffeine and it's making things miserable, that's going to be a huge part of giving you momentum so you can start working on other things. How are you going to work on your mindfulness if you're consuming caffeine every day and it's putting you into a state of panic, right? And raising your hypersensitivity and your awareness even more, and overstimulating your nervous system that's already overstimulated in general just because of your anxiety. Add the caffeine, it's going to make that day suck. So how are we going to do mindfulness, right? How are we going to work on rewiring? Your exposure trip should be a lot of fun after you have an espresso or a few sodas or whatever. Your workout will be real fun if you have pre-workout and you have bad anxiety. So we want to give ourselves a chance, and this kind of applies to things like nicotine. I mean, I'm going to make separate videos for all these, and I have some videos already, but I'm going to update them. Things like nicotine, excess sugar, I can go on and on. Drug use, alcohol is a huge one, and alcohol is a tricky one because it can kind of actually numb your symptoms, right? Numb your body. So it's sneaky, and it can turn into an addiction because you want to turn those symptoms off when you drink. The next day is a nightmare, and it makes it not worth it at all. So I can go on and on about that. But when it comes to caffeine, if you have an addiction with it, just try it first, cutting back, and then you're going to have that honest conversation with yourself and hold yourself accountable. And if you're not cutting back, then just cut it out completely and just view it as like, we're going to take a break. And whenever I'm past this anxiety thing, I'd like to have coffee. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want it to turn into one of those things where you cut out caffeine and you get better and let's say you recover, but you don't technically know if you fully recovered, and because you're still scared to like try coffee again. I don't want it to turn into one of those things. Don't make it a horrible association. But right now, just view it and have the framework or the mindset of, we're taking a break. I do enjoy caffeine. I'd like to still have it time to time, but we need to take a break because my nervous system cannot deal with that right now while I'm trying to focus on rewiring and fixing the other areas of my life that need fixing. So we're just taking a break, right? Cut down on it. For some of you, cutting down on it might be enough, right? But for me, I was so bad and deep in anxiety. I'm telling you, I could have like half a soda and I would start to tremble, start to shake, and it would lead me to panic. Thank God I didn't have a caffeine addiction. Those of you that are struggling with that, I know it's going to make it harder for you. But trust me, I had a nicotine addiction. I had an alcohol addiction. So I suffered a lot more with self-sabotage when it came to those substances. So I struggled with that a lot, but I have videos on that. I'm going to do some more videos. But guys, I love you all. If you watched it this far, go down in the comment section in all caps I want you to put, I will take a break from caffeine. I will take a break from caffeine. If you want more help with your anxiety, I have a full step-by-step process on how I got out of panic disorder, health anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, a lot of different steps. You have to change your whole entire life. We're talking about a little thing here like caffeine. I mean, there's a lot of different areas that have to change. You need that routine, you need that structure, you need to change your perception. You need to be consistent, right? You need the foundation. You learn how this thing works, how this thing operates. Once I knew how things were working and I knew what was happening with me and I knew what was going on in my body, I knew why I was feeling symptoms when I'm not even anxious, I started to accept more, and it made me less fearful. You also have to be overcoming your fears through exposure. So if you want more help, check out Elite Anxiety Bootcamp down below in the description and in the first spin comment. It's helping a lot of people. Check out some of my testimonials on Instagram if you'd like. There's some on that link as well. So check that out, guys. There's a link for online therapy, and coaching info is down below as well. Yeah, I don't think I left anything out. Subscribe again if you're new. Like this if you got value. And until next time, keep fighting.